Hi, this is KY Chia at your service. Today is reminiscence of Tele Anson, now Tele Intan, in the 1950s. Yeah, 1950s, all right. This is about, this is the era of the teddy boys, like fashion would be, bell bottom, flaring, you know, sailors, they call sailor style, or something close to that, jeans flaring. It was, the yeah, Elvis Presley, Teddy Boys, Elvis Presley, this kind of hairdo, high collars, very tight jeans, but flaring trousers, bell bottom. All right, this story is about about the time during that time. That was the era of Elvis, and also the time when detainees, all those who committed felonies, were deported. In short, they are deportees from a different state. During that time, I was 60s. I was maybe 12 years old. Yeah, we saw a few of these. We heard stories also detainees or deportees from a different state. Some from Ipoh, some from Kuala Lumpur, coming deported to Tele Anson. And these the deportees had to report to the police station every evening. If I'm not mistaken, every evening, at 6 o'clock. That means 6 in the evening. They were not supposed to come out. And many of them, of course, they were they were free to move around. Yeah, lead normal lives, and they had to look for their food. And when they look for work, I don't think the government spent any money on them. They have to, they left them to their own resources. They had to look for work, and some of them were, became ice water sellers, vendors. Then they kept a very low profile. Of course, we heard many, stories of these people, and then we also have seen them, around, and then pointed to us who they were, and most of them had tattoos. But the tattoos those days were frowned upon. Of course, it was not legal, and they had their tattoos, dragons and on arms. But most of them were scraped out, or used or use exit, to clear or clear it, with exit. You just imagine how bad it was, and they was scarred. The whole hand was scarred, mostly on the shoulders, and they would be showing this to us. And as children, wow, we look at them in awe. We're in awe of them. You see, to us, they were like heroes, superheroes, And they would be, we would be crouching around them. They would be telling their stories, their adventure, how they had fought, gang fights, and then they were, hit or slash or whatever, stories. But they kept a low profile, and they were not, the type who went around looking for trouble, you know. You know, after they know their background, they were deportees from different states, so they kept a low profile, and most of them were very gentle. Yeah, are very unsightly, they look like ropes, but when they're around town, you see, in the evenings they will not be in, they have to report to the police station. No, the thing is, okay, although they have not caused any serious trouble, except that once or twice we heard stories of them being, yeah, one or two being killed or even injured by people who came from outstation and to look for them. Those were they were some, quite a number of cases, of murder and injury. Anyway, my story today is more about their influence and not what they have. They were not predators. They did not commit any crime in when they were deported in town. They kept a low profile, like I say, doing vendors or selling ice cream or ice water. So, but they had an influence in the youngsters, people like us, teenagers. That's why of course, it was the era of Relative Richard and Elvis Presley, where people, would dress like them. But because of this adverse influence, well, many of the boys tried to emulate them, their hairs too, and even no, they never had any tattoos because tattoos for during our time was no. But as the way we talk, the way we went around, we tried to act like them. And so, of course, the police kept a tab, on teddy boys. Those teddy boys were born here. They were monitored by the police, although they were not serious crimes. And every night, weekend especially, the police will be out, in a team, to get hold of these people, students or non-students who would be dressed like Elvis, with tight jeans. But normally, yeah, those who wore tight jeans were stopped by the police. You have an inspector, a very handsome guy, Chinese man, would be going around, he would be marrying, yeah, it's normal, but he will be with his uniform cops, police, and he would stop these guys who were wearing tight jeans. What the policeman would do was he carried a bottle, a small bottle, having a bottle, and he shoved it through his pocket. If it didn't go through easily, then the guy will have to, sit on the ground here somewhere, and he will be, dealt with later. And we will all check, not myself because I was not, I was very young, we were young then, so I just heard stories and we saw from afar. And most of them who had tight jeans and the bottle could not go and slide into the pocket, they had to wait a while. They had to remove everything. They were not probably were looking for weapons, knives. Those days, teddy boys used to, have knuckle dusters. Knuckle dusters. The one you fight, you put the thing in between your fingers and you punch a guy because it's metal. You will really bruise him. You will cause serious damage, grievous bodily harm, kind of thing you punch. And for pen knives, certain pen knives were not allowed. They were checking with these two things, most of them, the knuckle dusters and pen knives. And of course, most of them were smokers. So they were, well, excuse me, they were, most of them were reprimanded. They were not detained in the police station. They would maybe, the police would just threaten them a bit and then let them go. They took their particulars. I did not see any one of them being dragged away, handcuffed away. No, they were given some yeah some lecture by the police. When they were squatting on the ground, maybe an hour or two. I didn't see any money exchanging hands. There was no corruption. So and then they had to go away. Any a packet of cigarettes, they would everything would be confiscated by the police, especially cigarettes and knuckle dusters and pen knives. Okay, so this is myself here. We are wearing all this bell bottom. That was the day we were wearing boots. Boots was the fashion. Boots, high collars, jeans. Jeans was expensive. Boots were expensive. I was only 12 or 13 maybe. I could really admire those guys, the kind of life they live. They led, I mean, especially those who were deportees. So we found out later on, I don't know how permanent it was, they will stay there. Probably they stayed, some of them got married and then once they were married, I don't think they went back to their home state from Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur was notorious those days. So we have found a nice place for them to stay, to hang around. So probably this was a good thing the government, had done, to deport them. Though these are felons who are not serious criminals, like murder and all those things. They were just probably, robbers, that kind of thing, that would, yeah. And then they just deported them, and they found, I think some of them found happiness, and most, yeah, and then Probably, I don't know, friends, they have been staying there for generations. But I don't know when this thing was discontinued, this deportee thing, deportation, internal deportation from state to state. In the 50s and 60s, it was very popular. And yeah, by and large, they did have some influence on the youths, the way they dress, the way they behave. Although they kept a very low profile. Well, I don't remember if any one of them stayed on until, yeah. But I heard they did not go back to their home state. They preferred Talensa because it was such a lovely town, a shanty, quiet, tranquil, town. So maybe they found happiness, and it is a turnaround for them, the life of violence, and they found happiness. They found, yeah, found love, and then got married, and then they probably, okay, now they're living happily ever after. Yeah, I don't know if government is still practicing that kind of deportation, yeah, thing, yeah, for criminals today. I don't know. You have to check this out. Okay. Yeah, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.